Are you listening? Damn.
All right. Woo, man, guys. Woo! Y'all almost lost me. It was touch. Kyle, what up, dude? What's happening, Kyle? How the hell are you doing, my friend? How are you doing, Kyle? Sign language for your boy. That's right, man. I'm sure I sound super whatever, nasally congested, all messed up. Like I said, I'm not 100%, but good enough to push through and try and get a podcast out there. There's going to be a lot of coughing, clearing throats, so bear with me. All right, so what the hell's been going on, man? So I went to Mardi Gras a week and 6 days. That's about right. So as you know, I went on my Mardi Gras vacation, right? When I go on the Mardi Gras vacation, what I do is I check into a casino hotel Friday night. I stay Friday night, Saturday day, Saturday night, Sunday day, Sunday night, and I leave Monday at like noon. So I went and did that. And, wild and crazy party, obviously. Crazy party. And it's nonstop. It's nonstop, like, dinners and just like boozing all the time, 24/7. Blackjack when you're not at a party. Party's going until 5 a.m. I didn't go to sleep until before 4 a.m. any of the nights. So it was pretty wild. But so Monday when I left, I wasn't feeling super great. I was just kind of worn out. I was kind of like, man, what the hell is going on, you know? I was just physically done, right? So I get back to my house and everything Tuesday, and I'm really feeling bad. Like, I'm feeling like garbage. I just kind of figured I was hungover, I was having withdrawals, whatever, you know. And then Wednesday I wake up, not good. We got like full congestion in the face, the chest. It's bad news bears. So basically what happened was I was super hungover until about Wednesday. I was exhausted. My body was totally shut down. And I pretty much got like sick, but I didn't have like a fever. I didn't have any of that stuff. It was just purely like congestion city, right? Basically like a sinus infection while having like an upper respiratory infection. So I'm taking a ton of antibiotics, taking a ton of like other stuff, and that just saps you, you know what I mean? So brutal, absolutely brutal. Today is the first day I've been able to do like anything. I'd much rather be listening to the show than the central limit theorem. Woo! Yeet on the central limit theorem. But I've eaten soup and crackers for like 13 days straight. Today is the first day where I haven't taken medicine. Well, last night was the first night I hadn't taken medicine. So I think we're good now. We're still dealing with some whatever. But I never get sick. I get sick like once a year. But when I get sick, absolute just destroys. So that's what happened. But Mardi Gras was super dope. I saw a lot of people, man, I haven't seen for a while. And dude, let me tell you right now, everybody was talking about the content. I had probably at least 10 different people over the course of the weekend come up to me and say, hey man, you are killing it. Listen to the podcast every morning, watch the videos. You know, people were asking me if I'll go to a radio show, if I'll go to and these are people I know. You know, these are people who know me. So it's like, that's like the first market you have to get through, right? That's the first market you got to get through is the people you know. And I told them all the same thing, man. I said, people were telling me, you should go to Barstool Sports. Other people were telling me you should do a radio show. Other people telling me you need to try and get on to this website. You need to try and get onto this platform. And I told them all the same thing. I said, the fastest way, the most guaranteed way to make the magic happen is to share. Share with your friends. If you don't share on social media, all good. But if you see someone who's like, man, you know any good podcast, boom, share. If I told them, if you think I should work on, or if I should create content for a website like Barstool or whoever, send it to them, right? So hopefully we got a lot of people out there joining the movement, realizing what we're doing, and pushing the brand. The brand is strong. Brand going up on a Wednesday, 100%. 100%. So that felt good. I spent one night, man, I was down at a video poker bar, and I was playing video poker with a friend, and another guy walked up, a guy I went to high school with, and he walked up and he was like, man, I love your stuff, man. I listen to your stuff all the time. And then the more that we started drinking, the more that we started arguing about LeBron James. And by the end of it, he told me that I had the worst stuff going. So, and you know who you are. All love. Hopefully, I can make you proud out there. I'm not gonna say his name because he knows who he is. But so listen to this story, guys. So Monday, right? I'm leaving the casino, and I won about $300 playing blackjack. Okay, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Don't want to talk about it. No big deal. Okay. Won about $300 playing blackjack. So I go Wednesday. I'm like, man, I don't want to have this much money on me. You know, I don't want to have this in my wallet. So I went to the bank. So I go to the bank and I deposit $260. I kept a little bit of cash on me, a little bit of that scratch, a little bit of that green on me. So I go and I deposit it, whatever. So I'm sitting in the drive-thru, I'm just chilling. Remember, I'm sick as fook. Okay, this is Wednesday afternoon. I'm sick af. All right, I'm barely even clinging to life in the drive-thru of the bank. So the lady comes over the intercom, and I'm just chilling, and she says, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hey." Because I can't see anybody, right? I'm not looking at a human being. I'm just looking at a speaker. So I say, "Hey." Speaker comes back. And I'm assuming it's a lady. It's a very lady voice. You know, I don't want to assume genders, but so she says, so she says, "Hey." I say, "Hey." She goes, "Some of this money's fake." So I'm sitting here like, this ain't good. I thought I was about to get Rodney King'd. I thought I was about to get because I figured she hit a buzzer. She already called the police. You know, she already did her thing. They're on the way, and now I'm just being a little fish. I'm just being reeled in. You know, I'm sitting in the drive-thru, and she's already got a hook in me, and I'm just like, "Oh, what's up? What's up? Oh, fake money? Oh, what's up? What's up?" And I'm just about to get nightstick to death. Okay. So that's what I'm expecting. So I'm like, and I immediately roll over. I go full freaking Tekashi 6ix9ine. I'm just like, well, all that money came from blank casino. Every single bit of it, I just got it from there. I came here, I swear. Which is true, but rolled over in a heartbeat. Just like I said with 6ix9ine, if you don't think I'd roll over. So I tell her, and she's like, well, one of the $20 bills is counterfeit. And again, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm never going to leave. I'm never going to leave this bank. You know, I'm sitting here going like, this is it. They're probably already surrounding me. They're probably already I don't even know it, you know. They're probably in the back of the bank, SWAT teaming, around the bank, about to just Chris Hansen me. You're like, "Oh yeah, you can go. Yeah, go ahead. You can leave. Go ahead, you can leave." And then the second I walk outside, some freaking guy from Florida in a ghillie suit takes my knees out and tases me to death. That's what I thought was about to happen. So I'm like, okay, well, what do we do here? You know, now it's time to put up or shut up. And she says, well, we have to keep the money. But you can deposit the rest. And I'm like, sure, yeah, no problem. So she kept the 20, so I'm down to 20, but I got to deposit the 240, and then I just hauled ass. If she would have told me we're keeping it all, I would have said, you know what, good deal. No problem, see ya. I would have been gone. But luckily I got to deposit 240, got the hell out of there, took my lumps. Luckily, I'm probably on a list. Like, I'm sure I'm on some bank list where it's like, hey, if this dude deposits cash, check it, because this guy's out here printing money. But man, it was the craziest thing, because I mean, really, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. Because I mean, what am I supposed to do? Go back and tell them to look at the cameras? Even if they do that and see me getting the money from the cage in the casino, I still go to my car, right? So they could just say, you switched out in your car, Like, you're screwed in that situation. Counterfeit money blows my mind. I've been thinking about it ever since. Just like how people do it, how easy it is to get it in the system. And then once you get caught, there's nothing you can do. There's no way to prove it's not yours, right? There's no way to prove that it's not your counterfeit money. Unless you like go back to your house or something and you show them like, look, I don't have a printer here. I don't have a money printer, I'd never snitch. Stronger than me, dude. Stronger than me, man. Stronger than me. So that was Wednesday. Absolutely crazy, man. That's actually the second time. I've been caught with counterfeit money. On just totally random. The other time I was driving home from college. I was probably 19 and 20 years old. And I remember I was coming home for like Christmas break or something. I needed like $8 of gas to get home. So I had like a $10 bill. This is back whenever you paid for cash paid in cash for gas. Whew, that was a riddle. And I went to this podunk gas station in the middle of nowhere. And I gave her my $10 bill, and she was like, this is counterfeit. I had no other money. I had to get home. And I remember looking at her like, well, I have to go home. I don't have any money. And she just looked at me like, well, you finna be working here. I'm about to be your new mama. And so what I had to do was I swiped my debit card. I knew I was overdrafting, but I had to do what I had to do. Overdrafted that thing, and went on home. So second time I've been caught with counterfeit. Just bad boy life. Just freaking bad boy life. But what's going on with y'all, man? Before we get into this damn thing. Before we get into this damn show right here. Shaved that beard. Letting it grow back in fresh. Whenever I get sick or something, I always want to just like cut it all off, Just want to shave my sick beard. I need to get a haircut. Grow like healthy, fresh stuff out. So hopefully we'll have the 5 o'clock shadow back soon. All right, man. Let's get into this show. Let's get into this freaking show, man. You look like a criminal in your show picture. It kind of does look like a mugshot. It kind of does, man. I never thought about that, but it kind of does. All right, here we go, boys. Let's go ahead and do this thing, man. So, big Mark Ingram. And let's talk about the NFL moves, because there was a lot of NFL moves. So, big Mark Ingram, man. Big Marky Mark. My boy Eddie Alexander, friend of mine, he listens to the podcast, watches the show, and he texted me and he was like, hey man, can you make the television behind you, can you make the TV show the image instead of you going to the other screen so that we can still see you like full faced? And I said, dude, I don't have that kind of capabilities, brother. Just kidding, boy. You know I got the capabilities. You know the production's on $1 million. You know I'm a superstar. You know no one can do it like me. Boom! That's what we're talking about. Strong, constructive critiques. Hey man, this makes the show better. Do this. I just call the Cambodians and they create some stuff. That's it. Bam. That's how we do it. Alright? Antonio Brown, don't mind if I do. We got it all. If you're listening to the show and not watching the show, then I can understand why this would be confusing. So, Mark Ingram, man. Dude, this deal does not make any sense to me. whatsoever. Now, am I biased because I'm a New Orleans Saints fan? I'm down here in that area. I go to the home games. Am I biased? A little bit, man. But I just don't understand. I really just don't understand the deal. So Mark Ingram is part of the core, I would say, from the New Orleans Saints. The Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Mark Ingram, Drew Brees. That's the core, specifically offensively. That is the core. Then you can go talk about Marshawn Lattimore, and we're not going to talk about the defense. So what I thought would happen was, I figured, well, if Mark Ingram gets a big deal from like Kansas City or New England or some team, some like Super Bowl caliber team, for a lot of money, and he is the number one freaking guy, I could see him leaving. I could understand him leaving for a lot more money and a lot more reps with the same amount of winning. So Mark Ingram, it comes out today, well, it came out yesterday, that the Saints signed Latavius Murray, the Minnesota Vikings running back, for 4 years, like $14 million or something like that. And when they signed him, I told my little group of like Saints fans, I said, this is it, right? Mark Ingram's gone. This is official. Mark Ingram is officially gone. You can go ahead and kiss it goodbye. There's no other reason to sign Murray to that deal. So then Mark Ingram comes out today, and Mark Ingram signs a 3-year, $15 million deal with the Ravens. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it whatsoever. Because in my opinion, and I'm not a professional, football player, but if I'm a professional football player, the biggest things contract related to me are like why I'm trying to sign a contract with a team is money, more money, or legacy, as far as wins, stats, awards, medallions, records, whatever. If I'm going to a place that's my system perfect, and I can put up 2,000 yards a season and be the MVP, that's a big deal. If I'm going to a place that gives me $15 million more, I got a family. I understand that. But I don't understand Mark Ingram's idea or logic to leave the Saints for virtually $500,000 more a year because, number one, he turned down a $21 million deal worth $4.5 million a year with the Saints. So less money per year, but more money in the long run. So, but for $500,000 more dollars a year, he leaves the Saints. And it's super weird because now he's going to a team. Now he's going to a team where he's splitting carries just like in New Orleans. He may be splitting more carries. Last year, Lamar Jackson averaged 18 rushes per game. Alvin Kamara averaged 14. That's it. That's it. So it's like he's not even going to a team where he's guaranteed to get the bulk of the carries. He's going to be splitting time exactly like in New Orleans with a worse quarterback than Drew Brees. And the Ravens are worse than New Orleans. Who has a better chance to win the Super Bowl next year, the Ravens or New Orleans? New Orleans, for sure. So basically, he took his stats and he took his production, and it's probably about the same, if not worse, in Baltimore. He took his probability of winning, and that's worse in Baltimore, unequivocally. And the quality of life is worse. Because he's got to move, he's got to have new players, he's got to go to Baltimore. I've been in jobs where I would take a pay cut to leave those jobs, and I've had jobs where I would take a pay cut to stay at the job, where it's quality of life, bottom line. And I just don't understand this Mark Ingram thing whatsoever. The only thing I can think of, man, is that there's something internal There was something more internal with the Saints because they had this idea. They had this idea that, or the Saints have this like super tight knit culture, this super tight knit group, and the city, man, like the city just loves them. New Orleans, the Saints are different in New Orleans because of Katrina and what the team did rebuilding the entire city. So it's just really hard for me to understand where Mark Ingram's coming from. I hate to see him leave, man. I'm a huge fan of Mark Ingram's. You know, he was one of the guys where I always found a reason to cheer for him. I always found a reason to be on his side. I loved how he kind of turned his career around. At one point, he was kind of a middling running back, and then he turned into a monster, averaging 4.6 yards a carry. Total animal, 3rd and 1, 4th and inches. No one else in the league I'd rather have than Mark Ingram. So it sucks to see him go, but I just wish he was going to a better situation. Like I said, I was totally down. I was totally understanding why he would leave to go to a Kansas City for $30 million, or if he's going somewhere like that for $50 million, if he gets some huge deal, whatever. But for $500,000 more dollars, it's just got to be something else, man. It's got to be something else. Let's check up in chat. Let's check in chat. What up, Pack? What's happening, my dude? Not sure if you're still interested in FIFA, but I got elite rewards waiting to be opened if you want to open them. Or Bucks, you can't if you're streaming around the 8 a.m. time. Do I need to own FIFA to open your packs? Oof, never mind. Dude, not gonna lie. I might have uninstalled too. Not gonna lie. 500K gets you far in this world? No doubt about it. But the difference between 4.5 million and 5 million, pretty small. Pretty small. Must be internal problems? Yeah, it's got to be. That's what I was thinking. From the way I hear it from you, yeah. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense, right? Only thing that makes sense. I don't follow the NFL. I feel you. What do you follow, Danique? What is your... I hope I'm saying your name right. If I'm not, let me know. What do you follow, man? What do you follow? All right, let's go to the next player, man. So Antonio Brown. Big fan of Liverpool. Hey, dude, congratulations today. I bet on Liverpool. Plus 245 money line. I said, you know why? Let me tell you why. I said Jurgen Klopp knows Bayern Munich. Big Jurgie, that's what I call him. Big Jurgie, that boy Jurgie, he knows Bayern Munich. He's going to want to win this game. Bet on him. I bet on 3-1 for Liverpool and 150. My boy, there it is. There it is. Yeah, I made a little scratch myself today at Liverpool. So I was pulling for him. So congratulations, dude. Congrats, man. More money is more money. No offense, but loyalty seems dead in the U.S. There is zero loyalty in football. To an extent, man. To an extent. I do understand the new money. I do understand the more money idea. But there are players who get into a situation and they take pay cuts or they just accept their role. Like Tom Brady with the Patriots. He's never going to go anywhere else. Tim Duncan with the Spurs. He was never going to go anywhere else, LeBron James with the Cavaliers, Kappa. Big Kappa. There you are. My point is proven. The only thing players are actually playing for is money. Boom roasted. All right, Antonio Brown, man. So Antonio Brown gets traded. I don't blame Antonio Brown in this at all. Antonio Brown wanted more money, bottom line. Wanted more money. And he got more money. He got his money. Now, what I'll say for the Steelers was this pick was terrible. This trade was terrible for the Steelers. Antonio Brown at his worst is a top 3 receiver in the league. We can agree with that, right? You're talking about trading a top 3 receiver in the league for a 3rd-round pick and a 5th-round pick? That is nothing. Nothing for the Steelers. I mean, yeah, they get like I think they got like $20 million off their books, so whatever. But man, terrible trade for the Steelers. Great trade for the Las Vegas Oakland Raiders, but whew. I mean, think about it, right? Like think about. I don't think any of y'all are Steelers fans, and I'm not a Steelers fan. But imagine telling the Steelers 2 years ago, hey, y'all are going to trade Antonio Brown for a 3rd-round pick and a 5th-round pick. People would be losing their minds. It'd be a full-on riot for good reason. I mean, Antonio Brown, dominant player in the league, no doubt about it. On his best days, the best receiver, not even close. For a 3rd and a 5th, Pittsburgh, like, this is one of those moves, man. This is one of those moves that could set a franchise back. 100%. I mean, it 100% could be one of those moves that sets back a program. And Pittsburgh basically took big Ben Roethlisberger and said, you know what? Loyalty to you and being in your camp is more important to us than winning. And, you know, hey, I guess there's some respect to be had in that. But I thought it was an awful trade for Pittsburgh. Good trade for the Raiders. And I'll tell you this, too. This puts a lot of pressure on Derek Carr. Because Derek Carr was one of those quarterbacks a couple years ago when they won 10 games or whatever, where it's like, you know what? This guy could be a top 10 quarterback in the league. Arguably, I would have argued at that time he was a top 10 quarterback in the league. So now you give a top 10 quarterback in the league, a top 5 wide receiver in the league, you have to have results. You can't have some of the results that Derek Carr had last year. You have to perform. And if Derek Carr doesn't perform with Antonio Brown, I'd get his ass out of there in a heartbeat. The Raiders have had their year where they could be bad, that it was okay to be bad. They don't have that anymore. They can't be bad again. They got too much money and too much pressure, and John Gruden and the entire damn franchise for moving. They're trying to sell tickets. They're trying to be exciting. If they're bad, they have to get Derek Carr out of there ASAP, like Rocky. Okay? So, AB. I like it for the Raiders. I do. ODB. Whew. Odell. This was shocking. I'm not going to lie to you. This was shocking. It's shocking because Odell Beckham is such an eccentric player. Odell Beckham is such a prolific past football kind of guy. He's such a social media. He's such a... He's just bigger than football, right? He's bigger than the helmet, as people say. He's bigger than the helmet. And when you're bigger than the helmet, and you're a fashion icon, you're tatted up head to toe, you got blonde man, I wish I had his hair. If I could do the Odell Beckham hair, I would in a heartbeat. You're dating supermodels, you're on runways, you're at movie premieres, you're in New York City, and you get traded. The last place I would think that person would go is Cleveland, Ohio. I mean, Cleveland, Ohio only has one good thing, and that's Drew Carey. You know what I mean? So this was crazy. This was wild. Not a bad trade either way. The Giants getting a first-round pick, it's like the 17th pick, third-round pick, and Jabril Peppers. Okay. It's kind of surprising they didn't get like a big-time quarterback, a big-time running back, big-time wide receiver, because they're a team heading in the wrong direction. So you would think if I'm going to trade Odell Beckham, I'm trading Odell Beckham for someone like Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm trading Odell Beckham for someone like Baker Mayfield. I'm trading Odell Beckham for a franchise quarterback to get this franchise back on track. So I'm surprised New York didn't go that route. I'm surprised they didn't go the route of we'll trade Odell Beckham. But they could have got the first overall pick. You never know. I think Arizona's got it. Arizona may have traded the first overall pick for Odell Beckham, and then all of a sudden you can dictate where your franchise is going real damn quick, right? So that surprised me a little bit, but what really surprised me was the destination. The trade from New York, give it a B. Could have been better, could have been worse. Give it a B. We'll see what happens. You know, they may have felt that, look, Eli is not getting any better. We can't use an ODB anyways. Might as well get a package for him. I don't hate it. But Cleveland, Ohio, the Cleveland Browns guys are for real. They are for real. I mean, you heard it here first. The Browns are freaking for real. That offense is out of control. Baker Mayfield proved that he could play the game. Will he have a sophomore slump? I don't know. But Baker Mayfield can play. Kareem Hunt is an absolute stud. Nick Chubb is damn good. Odell Beckham Jr. is a top 5 wide receiver. On his day, the best receiver in the league. Jarvis Landry's no scrub. And David Njoku's a bad man. So it's so crazy because the Browns have a new coach, Freddie Kitchens. The Browns are the Browns. And as far as I'm concerned, if they don't win the division, it's a huge letdown. If they don't win the division, this season is a disappointment. I can't even picture the Cleveland Browns in the playoffs, much less winning the division, much less winning like 10, 11 games, which that offense easily could. Is that offense the best offense in the league? Just personnel-wise. Strictly personnel-wise. Is that the best offense in the league, strictly personnel? If it's not the best, is it top 5? Is it top 3? It's pretty damn close. I haven't thought about that until just now. But I would say it's definitely top 5. I mean, it's up there personnel-wise. I'm talking strictly players. I'm not talking about coaching, scheme, results, whatever. Strictly personnel. Which offense would you rather have? The Chiefs? Probably. It's close. Cleveland's got the better running back. Kansas City has a better quarterback. Then you got like a Tyreek Hill, Odell Beckham situation. You go to the Saints, Breeze and Mayfield, it toss up. Running back, Kamara or Hunt, toss up. Wide receivers, Thomas or Odell Beckham, I think Odell Beckham's better. So it's like, damn. And Njoku's way better than whatever the Saints got. David Hill or whatever his name is. Benjamin Watson. Mother Teresa face ass, Benjamin Watson. So, I mean, you're talking about immediately the Cleveland Browns. Named after a color. All of a sudden went from being the Cleveland Browns to being a better offense potentially than the New Orleans Saints. I mean, man, they made some money moves. Call Cardi B because they're making money moves. Good for Cleveland, dude. Good for Cleveland. I've said this before. I'm surprised more general managers don't treat sports like Madden or like fantasy because it's so easy nowadays to make moves, to make trades, to make blockbuster moves, and to go out there and just make a splash. And a lot of the times, making a splash is more important than anything else. Winning 9 games but being super boring, and winning 7 games but making that splash, sometimes that's better. Sell more tickets, more TV, more merch, better fans. Both teams miss the playoffs. It's arguable. Different argument for a different day. But, man, what is Cleveland's ceiling? Is Cleveland's ceiling seriously the AFC Championship game? Or is their ceiling the Super Bowl? I mean, how good can this offense be? And their defense is pretty damn good, too. Reading chat. Myles Garrett on defense. Yeah. Who's the other rusher? They have 2 of them. They have two rushers that are both really good. Garrett's one, obviously, but Baker holds them back from that type of hype compared to the others. Quarterback weighs rough 0 for 1 on the correct ways. Quarterback weighs more heavily than weapons, in my opinion. I agree with that. I agree with that. 100%. I mean, now let me ask you this. Okay? Listener at home and chat. Answer me this. And I just thought about this. If you're Cleveland and you propose Baker Mayfield straight up for Aaron Rodgers, who says no first? Answer me that. Who says no first? Baker Mayfield straight up for Aaron Rodgers. Who says no first? If you're Green Bay, you're thinking we get a franchise quarterback. We redo the Favre thing. We redo bringing in a franchise guy. We're going nowhere fast. So let's just reset. If you're Cleveland, you're thinking we're going for the damn Super Bowl. Hell no. Green Bay, no doubt Green Bay. Okay, so how much else would they have to throw in there? Baker Mayfield in a second round pick? Baker Mayfield in a third round pick? What else do they got to throw in there to get Aaron Rodgers? I think it's close. I think it's closer than you think it is. I think it's closer than you think it is. Probably a third or a second. Okay, so let's say it's a second, right? Baker in a second for Aaron Rodgers. Who's that a better deal for? Green Bay or Cleveland? With this recent trade climate, maybe a 7th round element, right? Baker in a second and a 4th. Okay, yeah, I agree. That's probably a really fair. So you think Cleveland benefits more in that situation? They probably do because they get the short term straight to the Super Bowl, or they can attempt to go straight to the Super Bowl. But Green Bay gets another 10 years. You know, the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre situation, very similar if they were to bring in Baker Mayfield. Only difference is Rodgers probably has more gas in the tank. If they could get Aaron for Baker in a first, I would take it. I probably would too. And I think both teams would win in that situation. I think both teams would really benefit from that trade. I think they would both really benefit from that. I'm going to have to ponder on that for a little bit. Man, I tell you what. I know the voice is gone, but I'm on fire right now. I'm feeling good. The mind is moving a million miles an hour. And we haven't even got to the big conversations. There's some complex issues coming up that I'm going to throttle, that I'm going to dominate. But let's move on. More NFL. This is going to be a long show. No commercials. No breaks. Nothing. Just me and my brain and the chat. Le'Veon bet on himself and lost. Big time. Le'Veon wanted guaranteed money. Le'Veon got guaranteed money, but at what cost? Glad you asked. I had the answer. $15 million is what it cost. He lost about $14 million last year by not playing. Got $30 million guaranteed. Quick maths equals $15 million guaranteed. I think Le'Veon thought he would get a Todd Gurley deal. I think he really did. I think he thought, if I hold out, someone's going to give me $80 million. Someone's going to give me $90 million. Someone's going to give me $100 million. Market wasn't there. Market wasn't there at all. Even a running back as good as Le'Veon Bell, I think it's too much of a risk to invest that kind of money in a running back who you know may only have 2 years, 3 years, 4 years left in him. And if I'm looking at a running back and he's asking me for guaranteed money and he just sat out a full year, in my mind, He's got one foot out the damn door. Reading chat. He might have lost some, but the Jets won. Jets won, yeah, for sure. Great deal for the Jets. Question is, can they utilize him to the fullest with Sam Darnold? How good is Sam Darnold? On one hand, you could say, well, this helps Sam Darnold's development because he can just kind of offload to Le'Veon Bell. He can run Le'Veon Bell, dump to him, whatever. And I agree with that. But if they're keying on Le'Veon Bell, it's going to force Sam Darnold to maybe be better than I think he is. No doubt about it, adding Le'Veon Bell is good for Sam Darnold. But it's just like with Derek Carr. This puts some pressure on Sam Darnold. He's got a new toy. He's got a new car. Can you drive it? Right? If I give you a Lamborghini, eventually driving the Lamborghini will make you a better driver. You'll be driving faster. It's more complicated. You'll get better eventually by driving the Lamborghini. It's no disadvantage to have the Lamborghini. But will you be able to drive it good at the beginning? That's a lot of pressure. If I give you a Lamborghini and say, hey man, in 2 months, I want you to be able to drive this thing at a professional level, basically, at a very high level. I want you to go on the damn Autobahn. Could you do it? Could you do it? I think that question should be asked for Baker as well, says chat. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Baker Mayfield had a great rookie year. We know what Baker Mayfield can do. Now he's given to Odell Beckham Jr. Can you utilize Odell Beckham Jr.? How good are you, Baker? And that's with a year of defensive coordinators, a year worth of game tape. A year worth of tape against that kid. And now defensive coordinators are going to be able to look at him for a full year and game plan. How good is Baker Mayfield really? Will he be able to utilize Odell Beckham Jr.? The only difference, I would say, is that Baker Mayfield has Kareem Hunt in the backfield. And he also has Jarvis Landry. And he also has David Njoku. Sam Darnold is Le'Veon Bell. So even if Baker can't utilize Odell, he'll be able to utilize Kareem. He'll be able to utilize Jarvis. He's got too many weapons, right? So we'll see. It's very interesting moves. Incredibly interesting moves all around the league. It shook up the league. I love it. I think it's going to be so much fun. I think it's going to be so much fun to watch these players in these new destinations. Watch these teams, man. Like when I think about the Jets and the Browns, I'm thinking 6-3. I'm thinking 6-3. You know, they're playing like it's raining. And now when I think about the Browns, I'm thinking, damn, 75 freaking points. I'm thinking about the Jets. I'm thinking about Le'Veon Bell lighting that ass up. So I think it's fantastic, man. I think it's good for the league to shift some stuff around. I think it's fantastic. I think it really is. All right, let's talk about my boy Alex Trebek. Oh. I fucking forgot about Kareem Hunt to Cleveland. What the fuck? Having one of the best running backs in the league and two wide receivers that are best friends and a godlike tight end, that's a contender? Hell yeah. Right now, straight up, right now, Baker Mayfield has more talent around him than Tom Brady has had his entire career. All right. Alex Trebek, man. Last week or the week before, something like that, Alex Trebek came out and said that he has been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And he gave a speech at the end of Jeopardy, and he said, you know, I plan on beating this. I plan on living out my contract, all that stuff. And it was really heartfelt, really transparent. It was delivered beautifully, like only Alex Trebek can do. And I'm a big fan of Jeopardy. I watch it. Well, I watch it a lot. I watch it as much as I can. And it's funny, man. It's something that me and my grandma actually, like, me and my grandma are the ones that, like, we watch it together. And we've always had, like, kind of, as I was growing up, she'd come over and babysit, and we'd watch Jeopardy. You know, she'd be sitting there smoking her cigarette, and I'm playing with the lighter. Or I used to play with her cigarette holder. She had, like, this little mini purse. It was like a cigarette holder. And I used to open the front, and the front was like a whale shark. I remember I'd just open it, close it, open it, close it, and we just sit there and watch Jeopardy. And as I've gotten older, we still watch Jeopardy. We still talk about Jeopardy. And these like middle of the day game shows are just kind of a relic. They're kind of an old school relic where it's not this Game of Thrones. It's not intense action. It's not intense storytelling or like high sexuality. It's super slow. It requires you to maintain attention for like 30 minutes. It's everything that people don't do anymore. It's hosted by an old guy in a suit. The guy's usually pretty dry. You know, Pat Sajak, Alex Trebek. It's not these like political, like hot takey, you know, talking heads that you normally see. It's an absolute blast of the past. These shows, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, whatever. And man, it just sucks to hear that Alex Trebek is, you know, dealing with this thing. Like pancreatic cancer is what took Patrick Swayze out. You know, stage 4 pancreatic cancer is so aggressive, and it's hard to even imagine Jeopardy without Alex Trebek. And there probably won't be a Jeopardy without Alex Trebek. And when Sajak's gone, Wheel of Fortune probably won't exist anymore. And it's just these like relics that you kind of are watching go away. And it's kind of sad. You know, it's kind of sad because it's just one more step towards not talking to each other. It's one more step towards looking at your phone. It's one more step towards reading Twitter or Instagram. You know, I mean, like solving a word puzzle or doing trivia. You know, like that. It sounds stupid, but it's a nice thing to do. It's a nice thing to have, and I'll miss it for sure when it's gone. And I just want to thank Alex Trebek for what he's done in his career, and Alex Trebek giving me and my grandma a lot of laughs and a lot of good times. And you know, we just sat there and played Jeopardy, and it doesn't sound like much, but I think about that all the time. And I'll think about it in 20 years. I'll think about sitting on the couch with my grandma playing Jeopardy. And she probably thinks about that. You know, she probably thinks about spending time with me, playing Jeopardy or playing Wheel of Fortune. And it's weird to think that those things will be gone soon. Those kind of shows. You know, so hey, from everyone here, from me, all our producers, aka Nightbot, you know, Alex Trebek, go beat this thing, man. What is Kick Cancer's ass for 5,000, Alex? That's what I'll have, brother. Let's go ahead and talk about this. All right, so man, so the U.S. Women's National Team. So. I gotta get my mind right because we're about to dominate this. We're about to go in. So on International Women's Day, I think last Friday, the U.S. Women's National Team filed a federal lawsuit against the U.S. Soccer, and the lawsuit basically was saying that they were not being treated equally as men, as the men's national team. And so I saw a YouTube video. I've been seeing a lot of reaction to this. I saw a YouTube video. I'm not going to plug the guy's channel. I'm not going to plug the guy. I'm not going to say anything about that guy because the video is so bad that I don't want to spread that kind of cancer around the world. It's like a 12-minute long video, 30,000 views, something like that. And this guy hit the whole crux of his argument was that no one cares about women's soccer. And that no one cares about soccer. He even used an example that was something like, I would rather find a $100 bill than go to a U.S. women's national team game or for them to win or something like that. And it's really interesting to me that the nation is always pushing these like pro-woman, feminist this. You can't say this to women, or women have to be protected. And usually it's not in the correct sense. And then the one damn time that the women should be protected and that the women they are in the right. The one time we should be fully supporting these women. And what do people do? They fall back to like it's 1997 and their defense is that no one cares about soccer? Man, wake up. It's so disappointing to hear. It's so disappointing to hear people. Like, why even talk about it, right? I don't play League of Legends, okay? There's a video game called League of Legends out there. It's like the most played video game in the world. I don't play it. I don't know anything about it. But a lot of people do play it. And a lot of people care a lot about it. And the top people in that game are super celebrities, superhuman people to the people who follow that game. So if something happened in League of Legends, my argument wouldn't be, well, who cares about League of Legends? Am I right, dudes? What? Just because something is not important in my life doesn't mean that the only answer is to trivialize it, first of all. Okay? Let me just get that straight out of the way. The only thing I'll say to that guy is, in 2015, when the U.S. women's national team played Japan in the Women's World Cup final, 23 million people watched that game. 23 million. That's the same number, if not a little bit more, that watched Game 7 of the World Series that same year. So to say that people don't care about soccer, specifically women's soccer, is downright asinine. Downright asinine. Okay? Straight up. No other way to put it. So I got a feeling that the people who are saying that are 28 to 33 years old and still routinely wear their high school Letterman jacket. They still routinely wear their high school class ring. Grow up. Grow up. Educate yourself. And if you're listening to this, you are educating yourself. So you're taking a step in the right direction. Now let's talk about the actual lawsuit. Because this is something else that everyone's getting wrong. The first thing that everyone is saying about this lawsuit is that the U.S. women's national team wants equal pay. They want to get paid the same as the U.S. men's national team. Wrong. That is not what this is about. At all. This is a top to bottom overhaul of how FIFA and the United States handles soccer. Handles the growth of soccer, specifically women's. And furthermore, the U.S. women's national team is the biggest thing, the biggest voice in women's soccer around the globe. So when the U.S. women's national team is fighting for something like this, they're not fighting for just them. They're fighting for every other woman out there who plays in a league that was created 5 years ago and no money is thrown at, and they're having to work part-time jobs. England, hotbed of soccer, soccer mecca. Go and look at what their domestic women's soccer league looks like. Go look at what it looked like 5 years ago. Go look at what it looked like 10 years ago. I don't even think it existed 15 years ago. And that's in England. The U.S. women's national team has to stand up and speak on behalf of the rest of global women because women are treated better in America than anywhere else in the world. So this isn't just about America. But if we're talking about the U.S. women's national team, let me give you some examples. We all know that they're the best team in the world, right? We all know that they're the most dominant program in women's soccer history. But what about the domestic leagues? What about the National Women's Soccer League? It's like the MLS, but for women. I happen to watch a lot of the NWSL because I happen to support domestic soccer in the United States. Because I understand that soccer is the fastest growing sport in the United States and simultaneously the biggest sport globally. Funny how that works. So I'm supporting American soccer both internationally and domestically. One of my favorite players on the U.S. women's national team is a player by the name of Kelly O'Hara. Kelly O'Hara was the Herman Award winner in college at Stanford. That's like the Heisman for soccer. The best player in the nation. Played at Stanford, won the Herman Award, went to the U.S. women's national team, played at the World Cup, scored at the World Cup, won a gold medal. Kelly O'Hara. What a woman. Kelly O'Hara used to play for the Sky Blue FC, the women's soccer team in New York. Where did they play their home games? Yurkak Field. This is literally where they play their home games. Let me get you a better. We're gonna go big for this one. We're gonna go big. If you're listening, I'm showing the field right now. This is where she played her domestic soccer games, at this field. Yurkak Field. World Cup winning, Herman Award winning, Kelly O'Hara played at Yurkak Field. Yurkak Field is the home of Rutgers soccer, by the way. That's Kelly O'Hara. What do you think the medical staff for the Sky Blue FC gets paid? What do you think the coaching staff for Sky Blue FC gets paid? I got a feeling it ain't very good. And I got a feeling it's not the same as the New York Red Bulls, the Atlanta United, the Portland Timbers, the Seattle Sounders. Now, before we move on, I'm not saying that these players should be paid the same amount as the MLS. I'm not saying that they should be playing in the same stadiums as the MLS. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the league and these players across the world have to be given the same ability to grow as the men. Give you another example. In England. Oh, I forgot to put these pictures in here. Well, I'll just say it then. In England, one of my favorite players, women players, is a lady by the name of Claire Rafferty. She used to play for Chelsea and I think currently plays for West Ham United. She also plays for the England women's national team. She plays. She gets caps. So she plays for a Premier League women's team and she plays for the national team. You know what else she does? Works at a bank. She has a job on top of all this. Why? Because you can't be a professional women's soccer player in England and just play soccer. It's ridiculous. Why? Because the growth isn't there, or the investment's not there. The investment to let these women grow. If the sport is to be taken seriously, and it is taken seriously, rewind to the 23 million people watching just in America. If the sport is to develop and grow, there has to be a pledge or a commitment from the governing bodies like FIFA and the independent nations like the United States Soccer. There has to be a pledge, there has to be a commitment to grow the sport equally between men and women. The men can't get $40 million one year, $80 million the next year, $100 million the next year, and women just get $500,000 one year, $700,000 the next year, $200,000 the next year. There has to be some kind of pledge. There has to be some kind of plan in place to make this growth happen and to allow these women around the world allow these kids kicking a soccer ball in Spain or Italy or England or New Jersey, these little girls kicking a soccer ball have to have a route, have to have a track to be professional soccer players. That's it. That's what this whole lawsuit is for. It is aggressively leveraging their power. The U.S. Women's National Team did this right now for a reason. Guess what's happening in 80 days? The Women's World Cup. Guess who's going to be forefront in the Women's World Cup? These damn women. The women in the Women's National Team. And it's the last World Cup that they're going to be together in. It's the last World Cup that you're going to get this group of players. And what do? 80 days before the World Cup, with their last breath, with the last breath before they go and try and defend their world championship, what do? They take a stand, and they stand up for the rest of the global population of female soccer players, and they say, if this is the last time you hear from us, this is the highest leverage we'll ever have again. And if this is the last chance we get, damn it, we're going to say it. We should be treated better and equal moving forward. I could not agree more with this. I could not support this more. And if you are a fan of soccer or the United States of America, you should support this. Or furthermore, if you're just a fan of women's sports, this isn't about feminism. This isn't about equal pay. This isn't about whining. This is strictly about allowing professionals to be the best they can be in their profession. Kelly O'Hara should not be playing at Yurkak Field. Claire Rafferty should not bust her ass for West Ham United and the English national team and then turn around and go do numbers at a bank. That would not be asked of Landon Donovan. That would not be asked of Clint Dempsey. And I can't even give you stats for the ratings for the U.S. men's national team at the last World Cup because they watched it from their damn couch. Because they watched it from home. Because they didn't even qualify. All right? And that's the bottom line. So all these, God, these white sunglasses, these guys who drive trucks and go park it in their high school football field with a 6-pack of beer, and they sit on the 50-yard line, and they talk about the good old days that happened 25 years ago when they took a 4th and 1, when they took a fullback dive, 4th and 1 to beat the crosstown rivals. Then they went to the prom. Those guys who are trying to knock down these girls, those guys who are trying to call this something it's not, radical feminism, whining, and the rest of the stuff, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, I've seen this movie before. I've been here where something like this happens. I come out here, I get all passionate, I get all emotional, I speak the truth, I give you nothing but facts, and then what's going to happen in the comment section? It's going to be a bunch of these guys that I'm describing with their class of 1978 ring on are going to be hitting that dislike button. And it's sad. It is downright sad that as far as these women have taken the U.S. women's national team, and not just these particular women, the women who won it in 99 with Brandi Chastain showing everybody a little bit of that bra, with Brandi Chastain and Mia Hamm 20 years ago, how far the game has grown in 20 years to where that game was watched by, if I had to guess, it probably didn't get very big promotion, probably ESPN2 type action. From that to 20 years later getting watched by 23 million, drawing more viewership than Game 7 of the World Series, that is tremendous growth, and these women should be proud of themselves. Not to mention what they've done for the rest of the world. So, if you hear people talking about equal pay, talking about this other stuff, just know it's not true. Yes, there is some pay incentives, but it's not all about equal pay. They're not looking for Michael Bradley made this. I want to make that. That's not what this is about. Top to bottom overhaul. It's a pledge from U.S. Soccer and the independent nations to grow the sport equally, to put forth an equal effort to grow both sports. If one grows faster than the other, that's just how it is. That's just it. Okay? There's absolutely nothing wrong with the MLS growing at a faster rate than the National Women's Soccer League. That's expected. That's understandable. There is something wrong with throwing everything that you have as a soccer federation. This isn't a business like Toys R Us or something. This is a federation who has a responsibility to these players. They are put in there to protect these players. Yes, turning a profit. Yes, the money aspect is part of it. But they're also there to govern those players and to govern those programs. And so this is just to aggressively leverage, to make a pledge towards growing those programs or attempting to grow those programs with an equal effort. That's all this is. I'm on a whole nother level. Let me read some chat here. Preach! I can already see this clip getting hate, though. Dude, I know, man. It's so true, dude. I guarantee you this is just going to get totally shit on. I guarantee you that clip is just going to get crucified. It's sad, man. It's absolutely sad. I feel like I lit it up, though. I feel like I lit that ass up. All right. Let's go to Russell Westbrook, shall we? What do y'all think, man? Let's go to Big Russ. Let's go to Big Russ. People hate to hear the truth, I guess. Something like that, man. Something like that. So Russell Westbrook's at it again with the fans, man. Russell Westbrook's at it again. So we talked about whenever the kid touched him and he freaked out. And now we got an altercation with a couple Jazz fans, a couple Yaz fans. So the Yaz fans, allegedly, the Jazz fans said something to the tune of, get down on your knees like you're used to. Okay? And then Westbrook said, let's see if we can find it. Basically told him, I'll kick your ass, screw you, F you, I'll come up there and whoop your ass, I'll whoop your girl's ass. So Westbrook basically threatened this guy. Now, I'm a little torn here. I'm a little torn. I don't blame Russell Westbrook for engaging this fan. I really don't. Players walk a fine line between being a sideshow circus attraction and being a human being. There is a gray area there where if I'm at a sporting event, I feel like it is okay for me to jeer a player, an opposing player. I feel like it's okay for me to say, to root for him to do bad and to express that I don't like him. I'm not rooting for him. He is not on my team. That's okay. And it's okay to an extent. You never want to wish harm on someone. You never want to threaten somebody. You never want to use racial slurs. But, hey, Russell, you suck. That's fine, right? That's fine. But I think that these players are human. So when these players hear certain threats or certain words, if it pisses them off, I feel like they should have the right to say something back. But it works the same way. I don't think a player should go into the stands. I don't think a player should assault a fan. I don't think a player should threaten a fan. there's this weird gray area. Nowhere else in the world do you go and you jeer actively while watching something. TV shows, movies, you don't get the opportunity. And nowhere else do you have a direct, especially those sitting courtside, a direct vocal conversation with these superstars. It's weird. And as players are getting more sensitive and as players are getting a bit more, I don't know what word to use, but there's so much more involved. Because I hear it all the time on social media and they're with it all the time and everything's more transparent. I think we're living in a much more transparent world where they feel like, screw it. I'll just let it rip. Back in the day, with like Reggie Miller or somebody, he didn't hear it on social media. When he left the game, the noise stopped. When Michael Jordan left, it stopped. When he got to his house, it stopped. When he got in his car, it stopped. Russell Westbrook hears it every single time he looks at his phone. Hears it every single time he goes into an arena. Every single time he puts it on SportsCenter. It's a different world. I think these players are inherently more sensitive. They're also inherently more able and more likely to respond. You're much more likely to get a response from a player on Twitter, in person, or whatever than you would 20 years ago. Because 20 years ago, a player just shrugs it off. 20 years ago, a player says, whatever, man, it's just some crazy fan. I'm just going to leave. It's not the case anymore. Now, the other part of this that I don't like is that, so he says, get down on your knees like you're used to. Russell explains after the game that he thought that it was racist in nature. I'm not a huge fan of whenever people play kind of the easy card. Racial or sexist or homophobic or whatever it may be. Specifically when it's not. Hey Russ, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't think he was being a racist. I think he was saying that you were getting on your knees to do a little fellatio. A little Shyla Styles action, if you catch my drift. Hey Russ, I hope you're sitting down right now, but I think he was referring to you being on your knees with Kevin Durant. This may be hard to hear, Russ, but that's what I think he meant. I don't think it was racial. Again, I don't have a problem with Russell Westbrook speaking out. I don't have a problem with Russell Westbrook defending himself. But I do have a problem with Russell Westbrook painting this as something that it's not. And inciting something that it's not. I saw a Twitter exchange earlier where a beat writer for the Jazz said that Russell Westbrook previously had problems in Utah when a fan called him boy. A fan said something like, Are you ready tonight, boy? Something like that. And Russell said, don't call me boy. Don't call me that. Afterwards, or in the replies, people were saying that boy was racist. And I think that's absurd. I don't think the fan was being racist whenever he said, are you ready tonight, boy? Are you ready for this, boy? Was he demeaning? Was he condescending towards Russell? Was he talking down towards Russell? Yes. Was it a racial slur? No, it wasn't. To blame this on racism, to blame these actions and to say that what they're saying is racist, I reacted because he's a racist. I have a real problem with that. I'm all for I reacted because no grown man is going to tell me to get on my knees. I don't care if I'm on the court or not. If I hear a grown man say, get on your knees, I'm going to respond. I respect that. I'm on Team Russell with that. I'm not on Team Russell for I was upset, and you know what? Maybe it's racist. I don't like that one bit. Russell needs to figure this out quick. because it's starting to get out of hand. And if I know fans, they're going to just love to rile him up. And the season's going to be miserable if every single time he goes to a stadium or an arena, he's got fans attempting to rile him up. Now, look, there are some real assholes out there. I mentioned it earlier. I go to almost every New Orleans Saints home game. I don't know if you heard, but New Orleans likes to party. So you infuse a bunch of booze, and you infuse a bunch of gambling, and you infuse a bunch of that into the stands. Some of the stuff that people say is pretty bad. Again, I don't condone that. I don't condone the toxicity, the hate, the racism, the homophobia. That does get projected sometimes. But we can't wrap a bow on every negative comment and say that it's either racist, homophobic, or whatever else. Let me check out a question from chat. Do you think Russell would have reacted that way if he didn't think it was racist in the first place? Yes. I think he reacted because he heard a man telling him to get on his knees. Super disrespectful. Super, like that is something that is basically spitting in someone's face. Hey dude, get on your knees. That's some serious stuff. And I think he reacted to that. I think he that's fine. I think he told the guy pretty much like, F you. Hey man, get on your knees. Oh yeah? Screw you. And then I think for some reason, Russell said, I think it's racist in nature. And I just don't believe it is racist in nature. And I think if you talk to that guy, he would say that he wasn't being a racist. He was just kind of being an asshole. Right? So, you know, again, it's a super gray area because we're really just kind of splitting hairs at that point. But on one hand, I don't condone this super verbal abuse. On the other hand, on one hand, I do think it's okay for players to engage with fans verbally if they are being disrespected. But on the flip side, I don't think that Russell should go onto a platform and preach that this guy was being a racist or that his reaction was because he was being racially attacked. Because I think that sends a super dangerous message. That everything can be blamed on race. Everything can be blamed on homophobia. Everything can be blamed on whatever. Not everything can be blamed on those things. Sometimes you're just an asshole. Sometimes you're just being a jerk. This guy was just being a jerk. And I think that's what Russell has to deal with. I think Russell has to deal with figuring out how to deal with these comments. He's going to get them all season long. He's got to figure out how to deal with these comments, and he's got to figure out why he's reacting to these comments. And I don't think it's, at least in this particular case, I don't think it's race-related. 2 more stories, guys. Whew. It's been a good show. It's been a damn good show. Whew. Whew, baby, I'm back. If you're listening on YouTube on your way to work, thank you very much for hanging in. I know this is long. You probably had to listen on the way there, on the way to lunch, and the way back. And we try and keep it to 30, 45 minutes. We're in an hour and a freaking half. So thank you very much if you are listening, if you're one of those maniacs. This is how I listen to podcasts. I put it on YouTube, put the YouTube video on, put it in my cup holder, and let it rip. Or I'll just do the podcast on Apple. So if you're listening that way, thank you very much. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Twitch, hey, unbelievable stuff. And if you are new to the content, check it out live. Check it out on Twitch, where you can get involved in the chat and get real-time responses. It's basically like a call-in. That's how we're doing it. That's why we do it live on Twitch. It's basically like a call-in show, where you can ask a question, you can throw your comment out there, you can have a real discussion right here in real time. It's not the comment sections, it's not with some trolls. It's a real discussion. That's what we're all about. This is a beefy one. Nova going the distance. Nova at 60% going the distance. What a hero. All right. So this story, man, this has been all over the news. So Felicity Huffman, married to William H. Macy, who played in Shameless, awesome show, and Lori Loughlin, who played Aunt Becky on Full House. Whew! 10 out of 10 smoke show, son. They're a part of this scandal that has come out where the FBI, this was a huge deal. The FBI basically did a sting operation where they caught CEOs, owners of businesses, actresses, actors, whatever, bribing admission counselors, testing agencies, and colleges, bribing them to get their kids into programs and universities that they should not have been in. Basically, super powerful people leveraging their superpower to get their kids a leg up in life. When I first heard this story, I said, no shit. This has been happening since the dawn of time. And, you know, when you hear the actual things, it is bad because it is fraud and it is bribery and it is stuff like that. But this happens everywhere. Literally everywhere. In every walk of life, and not just with school, but with sports and jobs and all kind of stuff. Let me give you a really, really, really hard truth. Talent is distributed equally. Talent doesn't care where you live. The best guitarist in the universe can be in Los Angeles, California, or Huntsville, Alabama. The best painter in the world can be in Seattle, Washington, or Jackson, Mississippi. Opportunity is not distributed equally. Opportunity is a fickle bitch. Opportunity is part luck or part just who you know. Have you ever heard that? Who you know? It's all about who you know. You ever wonder why? Why is it about who you know? Shouldn't it be about what you can do? Shouldn't it be more about who you are versus who you know? It's an interesting question. You ever thought about why certain families seem to all do the same thing? Dad went to Yale, son went to Yale, brother went to Yale. It's kind of weird that all of y'all were smart enough to get into Yale, isn't it? It's just genes. Is it? You ever think it's weird that sons and daughters of famous actors and actresses become directors or they become actors and actresses? Man, you mean to tell me that two people in the same household became directors? Two people in the same household became famous actors? What are the odds of that? Turns out pretty good. It's kind of sad, really, and it's not surprising, but it's just life. I can't tell you how many times I saw this growing up. A parent pays for new uniforms, their kid gets more playing time. Parent pays for fresh paint on the cafeteria, their kid gets a class favorite. Everyone knows it, everyone understands it, everyone sees it, everyone accepts it. Nepotism, bribery, coercion, corruption happens every day. And the sad part is that for every single time that one of these kids get into these colleges, an actual deserving kid who's working their ass off to do it on their own gets pushed aside. And the sad part is, for these kids, for Felicity Huffman's kids and for Lori Loughlin's kids, life will go on because they're Felicity Huffman's kids and Lori Loughlin's kids. For the kid that got pushed to the side because they didn't have this kind of leverage, their life will go on too, but it will go on very, very different. Instead of getting into USC on a full scholarship that they may have desperately needed, maybe they now have to pay for junior college. So now instead of getting the privileges of going to USC, they're getting lesser networking, lesser education at a junior college, and now they have student loans. The trajectory of their life has been totally altered. Not by talent, not by themselves, not by their own doing, not by their hard work, not by their determination, but strictly because of an unforeseen force of, in this case, someone like Lori Loughlin or Felicity Huffman. And again, this happens every day, in every walk of life. Work, education, athletics, you name it, politics. George Bush Sr., president. His son, also president. His other son, governor of Florida. Isn't that weird? Isn't it weird to have a household with that much political power? How could all of them, both, or all three, transverse the landscape of politics so well that all three of them have been on the presidential ballot? Or at one point was. How is that possible? It's sad. It really is. And it's not surprising at all. And it will not stop. What it also shows is the absolute joke that the collegiate system is. We take shots at the collegiate system a lot on this show because, you know, we talk about how college athletes are student athletes. And I think it's time that this super archaic formula of colleges and degrees and ACTs and SATs, that has got to be one of the most archaic things that we currently have in our system. In the past 10 years, with the birth of the iPhone and the expansion of broadband internets and Wi-Fi and whatever we have at our fingertips, having to memorize some information for a history test, and that history test somehow determines if you can get into a certain college, is ridiculous. Information and data and knowledge is infinite for us. We're basically cyber humans. We're basically already transcended human beings. We're transcended into a bit of a robot form. This right here, this phone, is just an extension of me. I communicate with this. I think with this. I want to know who the president of Rome was in whatever date. I think with this. I type it in, it gives me the answer. I now know it. I can know anything I want with this. I can talk to whoever I want with this. We are developing at a rapid rate, a very rapid rate. Yet we are judged and tested on an archaic model. It's weird. So the ideas of these big universities, USC, Harvard, Yale, whatever, the idea that getting into these universities and that degree blindly makes you better than blank is another archaic formula. Why? Because now anyone can get in. Let me read you what these people are being charged with. So Lori Loughlin and her husband were charged, and so their daughter, Olivia Jade Juanuli, a budding social media influencer with close to 2 million YouTube subscribers, they were trying to get her into the University of Southern California. Her parents are accused of paying $500,000 to have Olivia and her sister classified as crew recruits, like rowing recruits, for the University of Southern California, despite never having participated in the sport. The indictment says $100,000 was in the form of two $50,000 bribes to Donna Heinel, a senior associate athletic director at USC, who then marked the girls as potential members of the crew team. The couple sent the other $400,000 to the foundation, a payment of $200,000 after each daughter received her USC admission letter. Another thing I read was one of the people who are being charged with this, their daughter was, her thing was changed to say that she was in the top 50 in the nation in this test scoring. When in reality, she was in the top, she was somewhere in the top 60% in the realm of females aged 12 to 19 in Northern California, where she ranked 270th in her county. So that puts her not even close to what she claimed. So these people, it's not like they need a little bump. They're just flat out walking through doors that they don't have a business knocking on. Let me check chat real quick. While I agree with how dumb the process for college is, there really is no other way to judge the millions or billions of kids on something other than test class scores. Paying for a college spot is another problem in all of itself. Agreed. What I'm arguing is that the test/class scores have to be changed. Have to be changed. The ACT being the same ACT as it was 15 years ago is a problem. The SAT being the same SAT as it was 15 years ago is a problem. Having to learn the same history, having to learn the same math is a problem. The world is evolving. People are evolving at a rapid rate never before seen in human history, and our tests and our classes and our educational system has to reflect that. It makes no sense for our schooling to not reflect real life. And I think that if we're judging people on tests or classes, it should be in tests and or classes that reflect real life. Now you'll say, well, those tests and classes can be corrupted. Not if they're tested in or classes in pure effort, pure ability, pure talent. And I know it's hard to quantify this, and we're just talking. It's hard to put into actual working words of what those tests would look like. But for example, if you want to get into a prestigious filmmaking school and you can't do it, you don't have the ability, somewhere in your testing and classes and introduction and somewhere in that step, you should have to do it. You should have to have that ability. And it is gray. And corruption will always exist. There is no way to clean all corruption, specifically with stuff like this, where like 40 said, millions and billions of kids go through these things every couple of years. Every 4 years. I can't even imagine how many admissions or how many documents are passed through these schools. I can't even imagine. So how do you regulate that? You can't, okay? I understand. And I think we all understand that. I think we all understand that cheating will always exist. And that's what this really is. Right? That's what this really is. Cheating exists. Cheating exists everywhere. So this story is unsurprising, sad, and expected to have these people in power positions doing what they can, using their power, using their leverage to make sure that their kids continue having the life that they have. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Last story, guys. Last fucking story. We're going to be at the 2-hour mark. I don't know a lot of people, speaking of talent, I don't know a lot of people that can do a 2-hour radio TV show live with 0 commercial breaks. With 0 other people. And produce it the whole damn time. Whoo! Bang! Last story. Conor McGregor, the notorious one, was arrested in Miami after he destroyed someone's phone leaving a club. So he was leaving a club, saw someone filming him, and took his phone, smashed it on the ground, stomped on it, put it in his pocket, and got the hell out of there. That sounds like whatever, right? Like, I didn't even know it was illegal to do that. I didn't even know it was illegal to smash someone's phone. That sounds like whatever. He was charged with strong arm robbery and criminal mischief. Those are 2 felonies. Strong armed robbery? That's some like Al Pacino robbing a bank type stuff. That's some serious stuff. And the story's out there. The story's already out. The guy whose phone broke said that he saw McGregor at a club at like 5 a.m. McGregor was singing. And dancing and having fun. This dude puts his phone out there, starts filming McGregor. McGregor doesn't like that. McGregor walks up, grabs his phone, smashes it, stomps on it, puts it in his pocket, and $1 billion walks back to his car. That's exactly what happened according to the victim. We'll call him a victim. And man, like, damn, I just think it's awful that he got charged with strong armed robbery and criminal mischief. I hate that shit. I hate when people film me when I'm drinking or having a good time or whatever. I've been in multiple verbal altercations with friends of mine or acquaintances when I'm out partying, loose as a goose, not even doing anything naughty, not even doing anything crazy. Just like dancing, singing, talking to girls, whatever. Just chilling. Talking to my friends, whatevs. And some people I see them filming, like I'm in their Snap story. And I'll tell them, I don't want to be in your Snap story. Delete that. Put your phone away. I don't want to be in your Snap story. I'm not, like, hey man, this isn't a zoo. And they don't even have to just be filming me. If they're like, like that, and I'm in it, they're like, whoa, dude, GTFO, get that out of here. So I know how much it pisses me off. I don't want to wake up tomorrow morning knowing that my face, my drunken face, is all over somebody's Snap story. So I know how that makes me feel. I can imagine especially how that makes Conor McGregor feel. He's Conor McGregor. He's thinking, man, I'm drunk, I'm dancing, I'm singing. This is going to be all over Twitter, all over Instagram, all over everything. I'm going to have to deal with this tomorrow. Like, I don't want to do this. Should he have handled the situation better? Yeah, he probably should have. Yeah, he should have handled the situation better. He shouldn't have walked up and smashed this dude's phone. But to hit him with 2 felonies, strong-armed robbery and criminal mischief, that just seems like a little much. And I mean, not to make excuses for the guy, but it's also Conor freaking McGregor. He's also a lethal damn weapon. He's one of the baddest men on the planet. He thinks different than me and you. It always blows my mind when people get in an altercation with like a fighter or a wrestler or an NFL player, and they're like, man, like, he was just so aggressive. He was just so mean. It's like, dude, they're alpha males. They're alphas. They're freaking warriors. Conor McGregor makes his living finding the baddest dudes on the planet and beating them unconscious. That's how he makes his living. And you're trying to tell me that you're surprised that Conor McGregor has a quick trigger? That Conor McGregor may have a snappy attitude? He's a gladiator. He's a real-life gladiator. If this was a couple thousand years ago, he'd be stabbing tigers and bears. They'd have this dude fighting lions. And you're telling me that you're surprised that he smashed your phone? I mean, it's ridiculous. And these charges, man, strong armed robbery and criminal mischief, why don't we just go ahead and tack on that he did 9/11? Let me change these charges. Conor McGregor's charges of strong armed robbery, criminal mischief, bombing the World Trade Center, and kidnapping Elizabeth Smart. That's pretty much what they're doing to this guy. It's ridiculous, man. The dude with the phone, This was an altercation. Got a little crazy. But the dude with the phone, in my opinion, he was in the wrong too. And I know you can't say it's an invasion of privacy when he's in a public bar. I get all that, man. But have some damn respect. Have a little human decency, okay? So Conor McGregor has a couple Coronas and smashes an iPhone. It is what it is. Just like I said, all the times where I've told people, hey man, quit filming me on Snapchat. Those are my acquaintances. Now imagine that they're strangers. Now imagine that I know every martial art in the book. Now imagine that I'm the biggest badass in the universe. Yeah, I'm probably just going to go there and say, hey man, put up your damn phone, SWAT. Whatever. So hopefully these charges get dropped. Hopefully that this isn't something crazy. Hopefully this isn't something where, you know, he's already suspended. Hopefully it doesn't push this suspension even further. But McGregor, I'm with you, brother. I'm with you, man. Fook 'em all. Fook 'em all, man. Really, the only problem here is the excessive charges. A drunk person breaking someone's phone, doesn't that sound like normal? Yeah, exactly, man. Like, exactly. Strong-armed robbery? Fook it all, fook it, no regret. Dude, have they never heard Metallica? Have they never heard Metallica, man? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, man? Have they never heard Metallica, dude? Damn. Great show tonight, guys. Great show tonight. We are back. We're going to be crushing content. We know the plan. The plan is set. What was the evolution harsh? Yes, evolution is always harsh. We know the plan. We have the track set. We are going to create content on multiple categories, multiple things going on. We're going to create content. We're going to knock on every freaking door until one opens. And we are going to take over the world. We are the best at what we do, and we're not afraid to tell people that. And we're going to prove it. Like I said before, talent distributed equally, opportunity is not. We're making our own opportunity. The plan isn't set, the path is. Woo! That is fire, Bucks. That is fire. Whenever we get back to full strength, 100%, we're going to be putting out videos across all of our YouTube channels. We'll talk about that more in the future. We've talked about that a little bit over the past couple of weeks. We're going to set out the entire damn arsenal, Unai Emery style. We're going to set out the whole thing, and we're going to take this game by storm. Bottom line, man. I really appreciate y'all being along for this journey. It's really amazing to see. You know, a lot of people, they take a week off. They're sitting there going, man, I hope people are back. I hope people are still listening. I hope they're still watching. I never doubted it for a second. I never doubted it for a damn second. So thank you all very, very much for listening. Thank you for watching, for sharing, for supporting, all that good stuff. This live stream, 2 hours going live. Love it. Love the interactions. Love the conversation. Love the discussion. I'm watching Nova VODs in heaven. Woo! Damn. Got me fired up, man. Got me fired up. Well, woo! Feels freaking good, man. But that is going to be the show, guys. That's going to be the stream. Now, I've got to edit this bad boy and get it live for the commute tomorrow morning, man. So thank you all very, very much. We'll try. We may get a stream going in tomorrow. I got a feeling we might be a little sore. So I'll let you know what's going to happen. But thank you all very much, guys. This has been the James Skrmetta Show.